Hi, I'm Henry from Grubbling Games, and I'm here to show you a little bit about our new game, which is called Perfect Crime. It's a cooperative bank robbery game for 2 to 5 players, and this is a video just showing you a little bit more detail about the game. Before we start, I have to say a quick caveat, which is that this is not a production-ready game. You'll notice that there are aspects of this which haven't had the graphic design kind of completed on it. Also, we don't have chess pieces in this game. We're not using pieces from Cornish Smuggler. So with that out of the way, let's show you Perfect Crime. With any bank robbery, there are two sides. So there's the bank and there's the robbers. In Perfect Crime it's the same, so players will play either one side or the other. This is an asymmetrical game, meaning that the two sides play differently. For the bank, it's all about the systems that the bank has. So, for instance, we have the vault door, the CCTV network, the interior doors, what we're calling enhanced security, the bank manager and the guards. All these systems relate to different security items which you're going to install on your bank blueprint. They can all be upgraded. So, for instance, if we look at the vault door over here, it's got an upgrade cost at the top, and you go from first rating to second rating, and that would increase the complexity of the locks, the strength of the door, and the type of lock that the robbers will need to bypass to get in there. To start the game, the bank will choose 2 of these blueprint boards to build their bank. There's 4 of these in the game, and they're all double-sided, so they'll choose 2 and put these together. Now, the most important thing about these blueprints for the bank is that they've got an entrance and they've got an exit. Now, these are both places that the robbers can get into the bank. The white dotted lines that you see along here, these relate to patrol routes that guards will follow when there's a heist happening. To start, the bank player will choose a vault and a CCTV suite, which they'll need to install in their bank blueprint. The vault is where valuables live, and the CCTV suite is where a guard will look through all the CCTV cameras. So if you don't have anyone in there, then you won't be able to see through the cameras. These are both quite important, so I'm going to install these somewhere as safe as I can. I can put these in any of these empty rooms that you see dotted around the bank. So let's put one here and one here. The other things that I get to start with as the bank are some starting security items. So we have some CCTV cameras and some doors. You'll notice that the doors have different types of locks on them. So we get to zoom in on this, I think. Each of these will be installed face down in any room I choose in the bank. I can have one per room, so if I put a CCTV, let's put one by the vault, let's put one here because it's a good line of sight, over here, let's put some doors down. With all these security items, when I install them, they'll remain hidden from the robber until the robber physically goes into the bank to find out what there is. So as they go through the bank, they'll get close enough to these to be able to see them. These will get flipped over, and the robber can see what there is. With the doors, when you flip these over, that's when you'll assign these to a different doorway. So you're blocking off one of these. If we have a look at the robber side of things, the robber works very differently from the bank because it's all card driven. So the robber players, each of them gets a card. So a crew card, just over here. So we've got different ones like this. The crew also have a cost, which you'll need to pay to install them. The first ones you get for free, but any extra ones that you draw from this pile you'll have to pay for. They have a carry ability, so this is how much each crew member can carry. So this detective, for instance, can carry, say, 7 items of size 1, or 1 item of size 7, or any combination of the 2 in between. He can carry larger items, but he'll need to work together with another crew member to do this. So when they're moving through the bank, they'll have to move together, otherwise these items will be dropped. They've also got a skill in persuading and in attacking. What these are for is when the crew go through the bank, any guards that they encounter will physically stop them. So to get past guards, they'll either persuade their way past, so convince them that they should be in the bank and they're not actually trying to rob it at all, and or they can attack them, and if they're successful, then they can knock those guards out. As the crew goes through the bank, they're going to be generating suspicion and evidence. So suspicion is used by the bank player to either upgrade some systems or to get the guards to move in ways which the robbers aren't expecting, or to be able to call the police and get those guys to turn up. Evidence, so suspicion as they move through, as they get spotted and as they do different things, they'll generate suspicion. Evidence is generated by different cards that you can use. So the different types of cards that the robbers have, we have crew cards, which we've just talked about. We've got equipment, there's a robot dialer there. We've got weapons, we've got plans, and we've got support items. Equipment is used to directly bypass any security that the bank has installed in their bank. The weapons are used to increase attack abilities and to get past guards. Plans are for sneakily kind of getting past any security that there is, and support items are to generally help the robbers as they go through the bank. Other things that we haven't really talked about. How do you win this game? So for the robbers, their goal is to break into the vault. When they get into the vault, they'll be able to access valuables that are in there, and if they get them out of the bank, then they've won. How much they've taken out of the bank will dictate how much they've won by. So for the bank, they win when they install 4 more rooms. So we've got 2 rooms here, and we've got extra rooms that they can install down here, which will further upgrade the bank. So for instance, the manager's office will give extra customers, which will increase the amount of money that the bank will be taking in each day, and the amount of staff that it can have. As before, these go in any of the empty rooms that are in the bank, and be placed like that, and when the bank installs 4 of these, they've won the game. Perfect Crime is played over a series of days, with each day being a turn in the game. For the bank, their turn is very straightforward. First off, they'll take a valuables card, which will live in their vault. Note that the bank can have multiple vaults, so you can keep the robbers guessing as to where different valuables are. Each valuable card has a size, so the robbers will need to be able to carry it back out of the bank, and they'll also have a market value. So this is assuming that these valuables are successfully taken out of the bank and they get away with it without being caught by the police, then the market value will be the score at the end of the game. So we'll place that in the vault like this. The bank will also receive money equal to the level of customers that they have. So we have level 2 customers, which means the bank will receive $3 and will receive staff up to 2. So they haven't got any staff at the moment, so we'll give them 2 staff. So these cards here. Each staff member has an attack and a defense, similar to the robbers. They have a detect ability. We'll get to all of that when we get to the heist phase. And they have specials that they can do, similar to all the robber cards. I'll get to that in a second as well. We need to give the guards some counters so we know which guard is which. Again, this is a prototype, so this isn't the final components that will be in the game. Instead, for the guards, what we're going to have are standees showing the illustration of the guard on there, which will be moved through the blueprints of the bank when there's a heist happening. So the bank needs to get $3, which we'll give them right now. And they can then spend this money on either upgrading one of the systems that they have, or maybe multiple systems. So if you had enough money, you could do maybe a couple of levels of this, or you could do one of these, or one of those, that kind of thing. They can also spend money to install more security items. So each one of these costs $2 each, and the bank would secretly choose one, placing it face down in one of the empty rooms in the bank. So let's put this one here. So the bank can also install some rooms at this point, which it will need to do to win the game. Each room costs $5 each, and they would just take a room and they'd place it again in one of these empty spaces on the bank blueprint. So let's put the manager's office there, and that would instantly give you an extra customer. You get the reward from this at the beginning of each turn, so we don't get this right now, we get it next turn. For the... oh, well, we haven't actually paid for this, let's put that back. Alright. The robber, their turn is equally straightforward. So each robber player, not each crew member that you have, is able to do one of 4 different actions. They can either hustle, which means that they will get $2 from general supply. They can plan, which means they can take 2 cards from any of these stacks that are here. One of the things I didn't mention earlier are these face-up stacks that we have. These are all items of equipment that are generally available for the robbers to use, generally accessible for the robbers to use to rob banks. So we have crowbars for breaking down doors, we've got lockpicks, stethoscopes and fingerprint dusting kits to bypass the different types of locks that the bank can install in their doors, and we've got spray paint which the robbers can use to disable CCTV cameras. So You can take from any of these piles here, so from support, from plans, from weapons, from equipment, from crew, or any of these face-up ones. And you can take 2 cards. They can either come from the same stack or they can come from different stacks. The other thing that robbers can do is they can scout, which means they will physically enter the bank. At this point, you'll notice that we haven't assigned any guards yet. So the guards only get assigned when the robbers decide to go into the bank. If they went scouting, they'd be able to move through the bank to discover what these security items are. But the second they get spotted, that's the end of the scouting. The advantage of doing scouting is that the robbers can't get arrested doing this. All they can do is generate suspicion and maybe evidence. The last thing the robbers can do is a heist. So let's talk about a heist. Whether you're heisting or whether you're scouting, it works pretty much the same way. So first off, the robbers will choose which crew members are going to go on a heist. So we're going to take both of these guys, or going to go into the bank, I should say. Next, they're going to equip them with the tools and equipment they're going to need to break into the vault, or maybe just have a look around. So let's just choose some for these guys. Just take those two. Let's take those two. Actually, they're not going to be able to carry that one. Let's give them a crowbar as well. That'll do it. Okay, so this detective can carry 7. So let's give him a .44 Magnum and a crowbar. This crew member can also carry 7. So let's just give them a robot dialer because they're not going to be able to carry the AK because it's size 6. There's one thing I didn't really talk about beforehand, which is the abilities that different crew members have. In fact, every card in this game has abilities on them. They've got a symbol before, so this got E's, but we have some. We've seen some P's already, and this card over here has got a D. This indicates the timing for when that thing can happen. So this is this ability. So P's would happen right at the beginning when planning is happening. So before kind of going into the bank. Any H's would happen as you're assigning crew and doing this kind of thing, so that's when that would happen now. E's would happen when we're physically in the bank. So the crowbar, for instance, gives this character the ability to be able to pry open doors and work like that. Now that we've equipped our crew, the next thing that we're going to do is assign our guards to patrols. So with using our guards here, we'll take these 2 off and we'll put them on patrols. I can put 1 guard per patrol. So my Vault and CCTV network is the main one, but I want to go on my CCTV network, which means I can't put someone on the rest of this patrol. So this guard, I think I'm going to put on this patrol here instead. The way the heisting or the scouting works is in rounds. So first off, the robbers will move their crew, and then the bank will move their guards. So let's move the crew first. If we take these guys, we're going to choose where they're going to come into the bank. So I'm going to put one there, and actually I don't want to put this one up here. I'm going to put them both down here, I think. No, let's put this one up here, that's fine. Okay. Each crew member gets either 3 moves, so they can move through 3 rooms. They don't have to follow patrol routes because they don't work for the bank, and they can't walk through walls because they're only robbers. They can do 3 moves, or they can do 2 moves and 1 action. So an action would be either to attack a guard, to persuade a guard, to pick up or drop something, or to use an ability on one of their cards. So for instance, like with the crowbar that we saw, to be able to pry open a door, or maybe to bypass a lock using some lock picks, or so on and so forth. If they move less than 2 rooms away from where they've started, then they're going to be considered to be loitering. So we don't want loitering in the bank, it's suspicious activity. So if the crew member loiters, then each crew member that does that will generate 2 suspicion for the bank. So each crew member is going to move 2. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, so you can do 3 moves. This crew member is going to move 1 into here. Now, line of sight. This guard here is in the CCTV suite, and it says gain line of sight on all CCTV cameras. The way line of sight works in this game is each crew member and each guard can see 1 room away from them. So this crew member, for instance, can see everything in this room and this room. This guard here can see everything in this room. They can't see through walls, but that's that. The CCTV also has a line of sight equal to its range. So at the moment we are range 0, so each CCTV camera will be able to see everything in the same room as itself. But we can upgrade that to make them better. So this crew member has moved one space. He can now see what this is, if it's something which is visible or something that's hidden. You can see it's actually, the bank exposes it, it shows that it's a CCTV camera. This crew member doesn't care about that, he's moving past it because he knows that the CCTV cameras have only got a range of 0. So he's moved 1 into here, 2 and 3 over to there. This crew member's already moved 3. The guards now move. Now the guards have 2 different states that they're in, dependent on whether the bank thinks that it's someone's trying to break into the vault or not. If the bank doesn't suspect anyone's trying to break into the vault, then the guards are just going to be doing their job. So it's going to be following patrols and looking through CCTV cameras and this kind of thing. So each guard, while they're on patrol, will have to move one room. So following the lines are the arrows on the patrols. So this guard, for instance, would have to move to here. Or they can use an ability on one of their cards. So this yellow guard actually has this ability here, which has an E next to it, so it can be used while a heist is being executed, which allows them to move 2. So if he wants, he can actually move 2, but I don't want him to. I only want him to move 1 at the moment. Is to use an ability in a room. So for instance, this guard is in a CCTV suite, so he would then use his go to look through all the CCTV cameras. At the moment, we've only got this CCTV camera exposed, so he is effectively just looking through that one. If he wants to look through another one that the robbers haven't noticed, for instance, then he would have to flip that over, face up, so the robbers would see him. The other things that guards can do is they can investigate, so the bank can suspend a suspicion, if it has a suspicion, to ask a guard to move 2 spaces. So those 2 spaces could be on a patrol or off a patrol, anything they wanted to. Or the guards can try and detect something. So if we look back over here, we have these symbols just over there. That shows the ability of the guard to detect things that the robbers might be carrying. So this guard will be able to see anything that a robber is carrying of size 6 or more. So that AK-47 that we saw earlier, this guard would notice that, like you wouldn't notice an AK-47. This guard's better at detecting, because he's got a detection 4, but he's in the CCTV suite. So at the moment, he's using the same detection as the CCTV cameras over here. Okay. Now that the guards have all moved or done their thing, so this guy's moved, this guy's looked through the cameras, we advance time by 1. If this gets to the end, you'll notice that it starts to automatically generate suspicion. Now that the guards have moved, we move the time track forward 1. So there's a finite amount of time that the robbers have to be able to rob a bank because there's only so many hours in a day. You'll notice if we get to the end, then they'll start to automatically generate suspicion for themselves. And that's important because when we're talking about the guards, we're only talking about what would happen if the bank doesn't think it's under attack, so if they're on patrol. The other state that the bank has is if it's on alert. Alert happens, triggering from patrol to alert happens if 5 suspicion is generated in 1 day, or if the bank detects or spots something that the robber has, which has an exclamation mark on it. So if we look at our crowbar again, it's got an exclamation mark on it. So if the bank detects, if a guard detects a robber carrying that, they're going to say, well, what are you doing in the bank with a crowbar? That's suspicious, we're under attack. When the guards are on alert, they aren't forced to move along follow patrol routes. They aren't forced to move 1 room or anything like this. They get the same moves that the robber gets. They can move either 3 rooms or move 2 rooms and do an action. So an action would be, whereas on patrol they're not allowed to attack anything, now while they're on alert they gain the extra actions of being able to attack robbers and also to be able to trigger the alarm to call the police. So following on through this, this crew member now gets a move. So let's move him 1, 2 over to here. Remember we have line of sight. So this crew member can actually now see everything that's in this room and this room, assuming it's something that they can see. If we look back over here, on the CCTV cameras, we can upgrade them to different levels. So on levels 1 to 3, the CCTV cameras are visible. On levels 4 and 5, they become hidden. Also, we've got the enhanced security just down here. So we have some things like motion detectors which are visible, other things like trembler alarms, security doors and laser tripwires which are hidden. So there's different types of security the bank can install. This guy, however, can see these two. So we'll have a look at them. So this is a CCTV camera, so that gets flipped over and exposed. And this one here is an internal door. Notice it's got a numerical lock on it. So to get past this door, this robber will either need to have something which will bypass that numerical lock, or something which will just break the door down, like a crowbar. When the doors are exposed, they're assigned to the doorway that they're on. So I don't want this guy coming through here, so I'm going to put that on there. So he's moved 1, 2 over to there. He's seen this. He can now do an action if he wants to, or he can move an extra one. He knows the CCTV camera can't see him from there because it's range 0, so he's going to have a go at breaking down this door with his crowbar. If we bring the crowbar over, so the crowbar has the ability, an E ability, so he can use that while he's executing a heist, i.e. now. I can roll 2d10 to reduce the door strength by 2 for each success. What's a success? Successes are based on, we've got interior doors over here, they're level 1 at the moment. The lock complexity is 2, but we don't have anything to break through the lock, so we'll ignore that. But the door has got a strength of 3, so 3 is the thing that needs to get through. To break down this door, I need to roll higher than 3 with a d10. Let's take 2d10 and roll those. Oh, hello. Okay, so we've got 2 successes, so we've got a 10 and a 7. So that's reduced the strength of this door by 4, so 2 for each success. Strength is 3. So that's going to be less than 0, so this door has been damaged and this robber can now get through it. This crew member hasn't moved yet, so he is going to go 1, 2, 3 over to here. He's got line of sight in this room, so what is this? Is this something you can see? Yes, there's a CCTV camera right outside the vault. For the bank, they will then move. So remember, the bank doesn't think it's being attacked yet, so these guys have managed to stealth their way into the bank, break down doors, all this kind of stuff. So this guard is going to move, let's move the CCTV over here. He could either move 1, or I could use his ability to move him 2. So I'm going to move him 2, he's going to go 1, 2 over to here. So notice I moved across a black line there. So black lines are places where guards can abandon their patrol and join another patrol. He's in the same room as the robber, so he's going to see him, obviously. So that's going to generate 1 suspicion for the bank. So I'll take 1 suspicion, we'll place this on this track here. So remember, we need 5 to get into an alert stage. This guard over here has realised that he's not really doing anything against these robbers because the CCTV cameras have only got a range of 0. So I could move him out of here at the moment, or I could just leave him in there and move him out in a bit. So at the moment, I think actually let's have him looking through the cameras just in case this guy goes here and decides to try and break into the vault. That will do that. Once the guard's moved, again we move the time tracker over forward another 1, and the game progresses in that way. Now, in our hypothetical bank robbery, we have the ability for the guards to go from a patrol state to an alert state. So if 5 suspicion has been generated during the day, so actually let's just do that, shall we? And allow that to happen. So once 5 suspicion has been generated, the bank enters alert. While on alert, the guards have the extra abilities of being able to attack robbers, so because they're under attack, so they should be able to defend themselves, and also to trigger the alarm. Alarms are triggered on these points over here where you can see an alarm symbol. So if a guard is there, as an action, they can trigger the alarm, which will call the police. The police don't turn up immediately. They have an amount of time it takes for them to turn up, and this is dictated by how many valuables are in the vault at any one time. So at the moment, we've only got 1 valuable in the vault because we've just gone straight for it. So the police are going to turn up in 5 rounds. So remember, a round is the time it takes for that to go across there. So 5 of those, the police will arrive. Once the police do arrive, they're going to start attacking the robbers because that's what police do. They're trying to stop robberies from happening. So once the police arrive, we take the time track marker and we place this on the number 9 slot. Now, what this signifies is the police are going to start attacking each crew member. And they're going to do this at strength 9. So we haven't really talked about how combat works in this game. So for one person to attack another and for that to be successful, the attacker will have an attack strength. So, for instance, if we look at if we look at the police, actually, because that's what we're doing here. So the police at the moment have an attack strength of 9. To be able to attack successfully, score a hit on a robber, they'll need to roll 9 or higher with a D10. This will be modified by the defence of the robber. So if I bring this over, so say the police are attacking the detective here. He's got a defence of 2, so that would be, this roll would be adjusted by 2. So actually the police would need to roll an 11 or higher, which they wouldn't be able to do on a D10. So at the moment they wouldn't be able to attack this guy. Remember earlier we talked about evidence, and evidence being the thing that crew members can accrue. If we look at this Magnum over here, so this Magnum, whenever you fire it, it generates 4 evidence and puts the bank on alert straight away because they're going to hear a gun going off. The evidence would be placed, when evidence is generated, it's placed on the crew member, and what it's used for is when the police attack. So, and it modifies the dice rolls. So this 9 plus 2, because of the defence, 11, that the police would need to roll, is then modified again by 4, because he's got 4 evidence against him. So the police are going to come in harder against this guy than they would normally. So we're going to, 11 minus 4 is 7, so actually the police need to roll a 7 to be able to score a hit on this crew member. So if we roll it, so it's a 5, so that wasn't successful, so we then go another round. If the crew member is hit, they'd be incapacitated, and they'd get arrested, and this crew member and everything that they're carrying would be removed from the game. If the robbers ever run out of crew, then that's the end of the game for them and the bank has won. So after each round, this will advance down by 1, down by 1, and down by 1, until it gets to the bottom, and the crew will either have escaped the bank or they'll inevitably have been arrested. So that's a pretty good overview of the core mechanics of Perfect Crime, and to give you a feel of how it plays. There are a few things that we haven't covered with this playthrough. So, for instance, persuading guards, I don't think we've done any of that. Network attacks, that hasn't happened. And we haven't actually picked any locks yet. But these are all things which work in the same way as the attacking, the breaking down doors, and are very, very straightforward. You can see more details on the whole game. In fact, we've got print and play versions. So you can download a copy of the game, you can print it out yourself and have a playthrough and make up your own mind, rather than listening to me. You can find these for free on our Kickstarter page, on our website, on our Board Game Geek page for Perfect Crime. If you have any questions about anything that you've seen here, then you can contact us through Facebook, through Twitter, Kickstarter. You can send me a personal message in Geek. You can send us an email through our website, or even just give us a call when we're in the office. And we'll be happy to answer any single one, any of the questions that you have. If you've liked what you've seen, and I really, really hope that you have, then please consider backing us on Kickstarter. At time of filming, our campaign has 6 days left to run, and it finishes on the 28th of June, and yeah, that's Perfect Crime. Thanks very much.